Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast, Opinionated
Opinionated
Mom.
moms.
Crack me up. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Morgan, and we are discussing everything from marriage and motherhood, but most importantly,
All things reality TV, so let's get into it. I feel like it's been a minute. It's because it was Thanksgiving. So
yes,
wanted to ask, how was your Thanksgiving weekend?
amazing. I saw Moana 2 and Wicked, so I was excited
Oh my gosh, you saw them both.
in the
That's
same day.
really?
Yeah.
Did your daughter see Wicked with you too?
Yeah, I took my husband and my oldest because she was out of school Wednesday, but my youngest still had daycare. So I was like, if we go to the very first showing, we can see both of them before we have to go get her from daycare. So I was like, let's go.
Yeah, no, I love that. And did Quinn love Wicked?
Yeah, we liked Wicked way better than Moana, and I'm a huge Moana fan, but Wicked,
Yeah.
it like touched my soul. I was happy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so my sisters and I we're gonna go watch Wicked in a couple weeks. Um,
Couple weeks. Oh my God, girl, hurry up.
I know it's just life, like there's a lot of family like events, holidays, all that crap that happens, so but I'm so glad that you got to watch both of them. My boys like Moana too, but we're not
Yeah.
gonna take them. We're gonna take them to see Mufasa.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, but I'm glad you had a good Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Mine was good too. Just spent it with family. We go do my husband's side of the family during the day, and then we end it with my side of the family. It was a great time. It was good. It was a good weekend.
Oh, that's a good compromise.
Yeah, no, it is. And my parents are divorced. So before, it actually used to be where we would do my husband's side of the family, and then we would do like my mom. No, we would do my mom first in the morning, my husband's side of the family, and then we would end it with my dad. And it was like a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it was very tiring and all that. But it's been good. It's been good. My parents have been able to just get along.
Yay.
Um, but yeah, so now we want to discuss last week's episode of Salt Lake, which I think was a pretty like raw and just real moment of Mary and her son. So want to get your thoughts on that.
So I've never liked Mary, right?
Hmm.
Just like as a person, her storyline was weird, her history is weird, she's weird, like it was just a lot. But
Yeah.
this made her like human and relatable. It showed her as having emotions because she was just always so mean for no reason all
Hmm.
the time. So I like seeing that side of her, but I'm sad about the situation for her because
Yeah.
even in that moment, like she's having this conversation while her son is high. So you don't know how genuine it was on his part. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I'm sure
Yeah.
what he was saying was true, but you just don't know like where it's coming from when somebody has an addiction problem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that made me
No,
sad.
that was really sad, honestly. And you know, I teared up. I was like boo-hooing when she starts crying. I was just like, oh my God, like it was just so sad. I'm the same way with you about Mary. Personally, I just don't think Mary is a nice person.
Right.
I just don't feel like, for example, like in the episode when she tells Meredith that she didn't have manners for like leaving her house, and then someone else is trying to like chime in and like kind of help the situation. Mary tells them to be quiet, and there's just such a double standard of like having manners, but then Mary is allowed to mistreat people. I just find it like really rude, and I'm like, where does that come from? Like she confuses me. Um, I wouldn't want her as my friend like in real life, honestly. And it's always the people of God who are always doing the most.
I know they give Christians such a bad rap, which I really hate because I am Christian, but I just
Yeah, me
hate that.
too.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, Mary, like, don't you preach the word of God? Like, I'm just so confused sometimes with your behavior. But that scene with her son was really hard. Was
Yeah.
really hard. And I'm sure she didn't want to actually, it was just, I don't know. It was just hard. But I did hear that they are that her son is doing better. So that's good. And I honestly do hope that he is able to figure it out and get out of whatever he's going through.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to like see a child kind of go through that, you know?
Yeah. It was just really sad. Just the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm more so wondering like more specifics about what made him start. I'm always interested in hearing that, especially from people who come from such like a privileged life. Like
Hmm.
it's not that money fixes all of your problems internally, but it's just, I guess, because I've never had any money to fix my problems. So
Right?
I'm just like,
Yeah.
what were your issues? Let me
Yeah,
know.
no, honestly, I would love to know that too. I would love to know that too. And I can relate. I don't come from money either. So it's like, oh, you having a bad day? Let me
Yeah,
just run to the fridge, I guess, and eat some ice cream.
exactly.
Yeah, no, but it was nice to see like a real moment showcase on the franchise. Unfortunately, it was such a like dark moment.
Yeah.
But it was a good episode, honestly. Like Mary is bringing it. I gotta say, can't stand her half the time, but she is bringing it.
Yeah, she's doing way better this season.
Yeah, yeah, she is. But we have some other stuff that I did want us to kind of dive a little bit deeper today. So today actually, kind of want to transition a little bit to Morgan, something a little bit more personal that's going on in your life. And I know that you shared with me just stuff that's going on with like family drama. So, this podcast is for us to be able to kind of just talk to each other, share our experiences, and, connect with like our followers and, if they can relate or give us advice even too. If someone's going through a similar situation, like just letting other people know that they're not alone and like this happens to us too. So I know that you had a situation where now your in-laws, unfortunately, you guys are requiring like supervision when your kids are with them.
Yeah.
And so kind of just wanted to dive in and like ask like what led to that first, actually first. How do you feel about the situation?
Um, like how do I feel about? I mean, I'm
Like
fine
in
with.
general, just of like the outcome of what's happened, just with the situation.
Okay, so it sucks because nobody wants to be a part of a situation where like you don't get along with this person or you feel like you're forced to be around this person. Like I would love if we all got along, we were all best friends and every
Hmm.
holiday was amazing, but it is what it is. Like I have a family,
Hmm.
so I'm good. Like
Yeah.
it sucks for my kids and my husband, but like me
Mhm.
personally, I'm okay.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, where I think I've asked you to, just one on one, like, how's your husband doing with all this? Because I feel like for me, like, I'm obviously going to side with you, but I do feel for your husband because I feel like it puts him in a spot where it just sucks. You know what I mean? Like he's having to choose between his parents, the people who
Hmm.
raised him, and then now like it's like his wife and like his kids. So I do feel for him, like I really do. But let's start for like let's tell our people here like what ended up happening so that they know like what's going on. And you basically told me how you started because I can see your mind. You're like, what? Like,
Like how
where did
far back do I need to go?
I think we could start off by saying Quinn's, her play.
Okay.
And yeah, we could start from there.
Okay. So my oldest Quinn was in a play with
Hmm.
the community theater. She did so good. Um,
Yay.
but yeah, okay. So she was in her play and it was for 2 weekends. So my in-laws wanted to go to a different show than the one we went to. So
Yeah.
I was like, that's fine. So they went to the show and I said, after the show, bring Quinn home. So me and my husband, my youngest, we were at home and they said, fine. So they brought her home the next day. Quinn came to me and my mom. We were sitting at the kitchen table and she came and she was like, she calls my husband Nick, she calls his parents G Mommy and G Daddy. So she was like, G Mommy made me talk to Auntie T, who is Nick's sister. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, what do you mean made you talk to her? And she was like, well, she called her and when we were in the car on the way home from the theater, which is only a 15-minute ride, by the way. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
it was some great adventure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, she called her on FaceTime and she kept telling me I had to say hello to her, even though Quinn didn't want to. And then I was like, okay, now she's not supposed to talk to Auntie T. That's a
Mm-hmm.
rule, and she knows the
Mm-hmm.
rule. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, did you say hello? She said yes. And then I said, well, then,
And let me just ask, let me, if I can ask you right
yeah.
there, why isn't she allowed to talk to his sister?
Okay. Because she is not a good person.
Mm.
And I have to like filter it. um, so when I married into this family, okay, I actually didn't marry into this family. When I married Nick and he
Mm-hmm.
came with a family,
Mm-hmm.
which is a whole philosophy that I have. But anyway, when we when we got married, I didn't feel that support from his side
Mm-hmm.
of the family for
Mm-hmm.
various reasons. It
Mm-hmm.
was some of it was just a feeling, some of it was actual things that were said to me. It was a mix. But
Yeah.
there wasn't a sense of like, we're excited that you guys are getting married.
Mm-hmm.
So at first I thought it was just me. I thought, they didn't want him to marry me. Over the years, I've come to the conclusion that they just don't want him to be married, period.
Mm-hmm.
With his sister in particular, she was always like that nice nasty. Like
Mm-hmm.
she never said anything in particular that was mean, but you didn't feel warm and fuzzy and like welcome with her either.
Mm-hmm.
The turning point for me personally with my relationship with her, long story short, she lives in Atlanta. We were trying to move to Atlanta from North Carolina,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and she's married with a daughter, and she has twin babies now. But at the
Mm-hmm.
time, it was just her daughter. She was a toddler at the time, and we were looking for an apartment. We went to stay with her because we had found a place,
Mm-hmm.
and we were going to move in.
Mm-hmm.
So we packed up all of our stuff. Me and Quinn are in the car. Nick drove the U-Haul, and I get to the apartment. I get the keys. I go look in it. It's like roach infested. It's like disgusting. I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
we can't move in here. This is
Mm-hmm.
gross. So we ended up going to her place to stay the night. And then when Monday came, because that was Saturday, Monday came, we went to the leasing office. They didn't have anything else to put us in. So I was like, we'll just give us our deposit back. So they gave us our deposit back. We decided we're going to take the week to look for another apartment because we have to move in somewhere. All our stuff
Yeah.
is in a U-Haul. That was Monday. So we went out Monday and Tuesday. We're looking for places. Like we applied to a couple of places. We just needed to wait like 2, 3 days to hear back.
Yeah.
So Wednesday comes. We had also given his sister money.
So
Like,
that whole time you'd been staying at his sister's place.
yeah, we stayed
Okay.
there from Saturday and now it's Wednesday. We'd
Okay.
given her a couple $100 towards like, utilities or like food,
Yeah.
whatever,
Food,
whatever.
food. Yeah.
So we gave her some money. So now it's Wednesday, it's 11 o'clock at night. Me and Nick are on the sofa trying to figure out what we're going to do. And his sister comes and she goes, I really want to tell you guys, I just don't
Well,
think
I'm so sorry. This is just the you, him, and
Quinn.
Quinn. Sage is not
Yeah,
in the
Sage
picture
wasn't
yet.
born yet.
Okay. Okay.
So it's just me, Nick, and Quinn, and then her and her husband and her daughter.
Yeah.
And we're staying at their house. It's a 3-bedroom house. So she comes and she sits us down. And she's like, I don't think you guys should stay here anymore. I just don't think it's working out. And we're like, oh my gosh, like, were we in your way? Like, we weren't cooking or anything, we're trying to be like super neat. We're just like trying to be quiet. We're like, what's going on? What did we do? And she was like, I just don't think it's working. And she said, I think Morgan and Quinn should go back to North Carolina and stay with her family. And then she was like, Nick, you can stay here because Nick had already started his job in Atlanta. So we couldn't leave. And I was like, okay. And I packed my stuff and I said, come on, Quinn. And we left and left him
All of
there.
you or just you and
No,
Quinn?
just me and Quinn, because he was already working. So he couldn't leave. He was working in person. I was working remote. So I was like, okay. And I just left.
Okay, wait. I actually didn't know this story, Morgan, and I'm over here like I should be a meme, by the way. I should be like
Yes.
the faces I make. I'm like livid for you. I know this was like so long ago, but that would really hurt me, honestly. Like that, I just don't even understand why that. I
We
just
were we
don't.
were only there a couple of days. Like I said, it was only from like Saturday to that was Wednesday, and we were planning on leaving, excuse me, that weekend. Like I was like, we can't stay here like forever.
Mhm.
But I was like, just give us the week to like apply, look for places. It was very unexpected. Like obviously
And how old was Quinn at the time?
7,
Okay.
I think
Okay.
she was so, and she needed, it was August. So the school she was supposed to go to for that apartment had already started. So she already missed like the first 2 weeks of school because
Mm.
of the moving and the whole like
Yeah.
debacle and everything. So, because I didn't want to put her in that school because I didn't know where we were going to live. So I just went back to North Carolina. I went and stayed with my parents in their 2 bedroom apartment. Me and Quinn went and stayed, and I just put her in school at my parents' apartment. Like I enrolled her the next day
Hmm.
and
Okay.
just stayed there.
So that is where it started, where you realized you were like, oh,
Yeah.
like things are different now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I never said anything to
Whew.
his sister because at the time I was like, if I say anything, I'm just gonna go off on her. And Nick is not like a drama person. Like if you start yelling and screaming, then he's just like, what do I do with this? So
Hmm.
I just didn't say anything. Then he had expressed concern to his parents about what she said to us. And he was like, I don't know why she would say that. Like, that's so messed up. This is my sister. She's supposed to help, blah, blah, blah. So me and him and his parents were together. This was like, I don't know, maybe like 2 weeks later. We were together and he brought it up and he was like, I
Hmm.
can't believe she did that, blah, blah, blah. And his parents were just like, well, it wasn't her, it was her husband, whose name is, well, his name is, and she was like, but
Oh well, but just
T,
moving forward.
okay, so T, um, and her husband,
Hmm.
JT,
Yeah. So
she
it's supposedly the
the
husband who
husband
had
didn't want us
said,
there, but she was the one who delivered the message, which was surprising to me because we got along like really good. So I don't
hmm
know, but they just went on like a whole thing. They were like, it's not her, it's him. He never speaks up. He never says his true feelings, blah, 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 blah. So, she just kind of does his dirty work for him. And I was like, well, that's still shady because
I just, but like, what is the reason? Like, did you and Quinn do something? Was it just the fact that like you're not blood? Like, I just don't understand.
nobody told
Were
us.
you guys being messy? Like, like
I
I'm
don't know.
just,
No, nobody gave us a reason. Like, and I mean, I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect, but like, I really can't think of anything that I did for them to
did
say,
they just get
like,
overwhelmed with like having a kid there that's not theirs? Maybe
I
what
don't know.
we're
Because they
with this
always
child.
praise Quinn. Like they're just like, oh, Quinn is so quiet. She's so sweet. She's so well behaved, which she really is. And she was a
Hmm.
lot older. She's like 4 or 5 years older than their daughter. So it's not like I brought my
Yeah,
toddler. That
yeah.
could be a reason I can understand. You'd be like, get out. She's a little
That's
crazy.
what. Yeah, yeah. That's okay. So, anyways,
But that
so
was that was my turning point. And then there were just like various other things that happened over time to make me just be like, you're really not supportive of us. Like you
hmm
really don't care. Um,
hmm
the reason we got to the point where she can't talk to my kids though is because last year, September 23,
Mm-hmm.
we took a family trip to Disney World. Me, Nick, and Quinn. And Sage was here, but I left Sage with my in-laws for the week,
Okay.
and we went to Disney World because I just
Okay.
wanted to focus on Quinn because it was for her
Right.
birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to Disney World. Nick and I got into a really big fight, and he ended up flying back home early, which was Atlanta at the time. So we did eventually move to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he was in Atlanta. He left on a Friday, and so it was just me and Quinn. And I didn't know what was going on. Like, I didn't know where he was. I didn't know if he was coming back to the hotel or whatever. So Saturday, I woke up. I still hadn't spoken to him. So I called his parents because that's what we did every day. We called his parents to FaceTime Sage. And so I called them to FaceTime Sage. And I'm talking to Sage. And I just started like crying because I was so emotional about the fight. And so I
Mm-hmm.
asked his mom if she had spoken to Nick or if she knew where he was. And she told me no. But I'm like crying, like bawling,
Mm-hmm.
crying. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm so
Mm-hmm.
confused. And she was just like, okay, well, hope you talk to him. And then she just hung up. And I was like, that was weird. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we've never been close. We've never had like a heart to heart, but I
Yeah.
expected
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So, okay. So then Sunday, me and Quinn flew home to Atlanta, and Nick was there with Sage. And I was like, well, how did Sage get here? Because he was with Nick, she was with Nick's parents in North Carolina, and we were supposed to
Mm-hmm.
go pick her up. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, how did Sage get here? And he was like, oh, my sister brought her from North Carolina. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, didn't we decide that we would go pick her up? And he was like, yeah. Um, Now that's an issue. There's like so many parts. That's an issue
Yeah.
because Nick and I had made a rule together with his parents and sat them down and said, she cannot watch our child,
Mm-hmm.
specifically Sage, the younger one, because every time Sage would be with her and her child would hurt Sage in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like she stomped on her foot and like left a bruise one day, or she would like push her down. Sage was like one at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She would like push her down or like, throw things at her, like stuff like that. And I know kids do ridiculous things. I understand that. My issue is that there was no like discipline or like
Mm-hmm.
setting boundaries with kids,
Yeah.
So it was like Sage would get hit and then it like nobody would say anything to the other kid.
Yeah.
I didn't set that rule. Nick set that rule.
Okay.
His parents didn't agree with that rule.
Okay.
So they were just kind of like, we're not going to abide by that.
Okay. So they're like, I'm just gonna do what I want to do.
Right. My issue was that after I called his mom and I was crying, a couple hours later, I tried to call her again and she wouldn't answer. She wouldn't answer my texts. His dad wouldn't answer me. His sister wouldn't answer me. Nick wouldn't answer me because Nick was mad at me. So I didn't
Yeah.
know what was going on. I didn't know where Sage was.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get home, I'm thinking my kid is in North Carolina and she's in Georgia. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody told me where she was.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time Sage was in a car with my sister-in-law and my niece tried to smother her with a pillow. Like literally climbed on top of her with a pillow on her face. She was like not even one. And she's like on her face with the pillow. And I know this because I was driving the car. And
Mm-hmm.
when I saw it, I pulled over, I yelled at her, da 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 da. My sister in law was also in the car and she was just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you did that. Like, and if you knew her, that's like really how she talks. She talks like Miss Rachel, but that's just her natural voice. It's just really
Yeah.
high. But it just pissed me off because I'm like, now is not the time to be Miss Rachel. Like, we need to put some boundaries in place. What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's why I'm saying like there was a buildup of several reasons of why
Yeah.
we have these things in place, right? Okay, so that's why we originally said like Sage can't be in the car with you, or
Right.
you can't be in charge of the kids because you
Yeah.
obviously don't discipline anyone. You're not adulting in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then no one in the family went with that rule. They were just like, that's ridiculous. Like, there's no reason for that, blah, blah, blah. So, because of that incident and factored in with the fact that Nick and I had a huge fight, I found several text messages on his phone from his sister saying, like, Morgan's evil. You should divorce her. She's this, she's that, blah, 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 blah. Just like, I mean, when I say text,
Mm-hmm.
it was like a novel. Like, it just
Mm.
went on and on and on. Okay, so fast forward, Nick and I made up. Obviously, we're still together.
Right.
We made up
Mm-hmm.
like a week later. But his sister's still going on and on and on with these texts, right? Because he obviously vented to her, which is
Right.
fine. I don't
Yeah.
care that he vented. My issue is that, you know, you don't get in people's relationships like that. Like when your
Mhm.
friend like vents to you or whatever, like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't be like, oh, leave him, girl. Da da da. She's gonna make up with him in 5 minutes. Like,
Yep. Yep. And it's their relationship. You guys just gotta be there for support. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So we made up. His sister's still going on and on with it, blah, 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 blah. Now, mind you, I didn't talk to her this whole time. So this was like mid-September. We went on this trip last year. Um, Quinn's birthday is September 28th. By her birthday, we were fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We threw her a birthday party. So I saw these texts from his sister, and I didn't say anything to her about it. I said something to him about it. And I was like, that's ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. Now in the text, he didn't agree with her, but I don't feel like he all the way defended me either. So that was a separate
Mm-hmm.
conversation that I had with him. So,
Yeah.
okay, the week before Quinn's birthday, so like right after Disney, but before her birthday, we decided we were going to throw her a birthday party, right?
Mhm.
She
Okay.
wanted to go to this like adventure place, but you had to be a certain age and height to go to the
Okay.
place.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I said, give me the names of the kids you want to invite. She gave me the kids' names. I invited the kids. His sister was very offended that we didn't invite her kid, who, like I said, is like 4 or 5 years younger than Quinn.
Okay.
So that's part of the reason I didn't invite her. The other reason was because I was just pissed at her. But
Mm-hmm.
also, even if I did, she can't participate. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't say
Mm-hmm.
anything about the party because she
Mm-hmm.
can't come. Why am I telling
Yeah.
you?
But it
Um,
upset his sister that his cousin wasn't, that her daughter
yeah,
was invited to his cousin's birthday. Okay.
yeah.
I can see that.
So she
Not
was
gonna
really
lie.
mad.
I could see that. I could see that. I
Well,
could,
again, I hadn't spoken to her, and the last I
no,
heard,
no.
I was
Yeah.
evil. So,
No, no, that you're upset. She said some really messed up stuff about you, like rightfully so. Um, but I could see how right there she's like, wait, but like my child was invited, even though
right.
my child can't go. Like, but
But
so I see it.
Nick told her why. Like, we're having it at this place. Like, you have to be,
Oh,
I
he
think you
did
had,
tell her.
he
Oh,
told her
okay.
when she got mad. She found out from his parents because his parents asked what we were doing. And Nick
Hmm.
said, we're having a party, blah, blah, blah. They told his sister. And then his sister called him and said, why isn't my daughter invited?
Okay.
And then he said, because the age and the height limit, blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
And then she thought it was BS. And he was like, I mean, you can look it up. It's on the website, blah, 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 blah. Like, even one of the kids who was invited to the party didn't meet the height requirement. They wouldn't let them do some of the activities. So it was like, I'm not lying. That's a real
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so she was really upset. So she starts saying all this stuff like, you're going against the family. You're choosing Morgan over us, like blah, blah, blah. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Hmm.
It was a lot. So fast forward to November, I still haven't talked to his parents or his sister. No, nobody's
Hmm.
spoken to me.
Hmm.
Nick told me that his parents and his sister were angry with me. They were
Hmm.
angry with me because he told them that I was upset that they didn't answer my calls when I was in Florida and Nick left.
Hmm.
And I felt that they should have. I felt they should have because they had my kid, not
Okay.
because me and Nick had a fight.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And they told him, because again, nobody spoke to me directly.
Hmm.
They told him that it wasn't their responsibility to get in touch with me because Nick and I were fighting and they wanted to stay out of the fight. which I could understand that,
I could understand. Yeah.
but you had my kid. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So anyway, so we hadn't have a conversation. So come November, my sister-in-law's daughter, her birthday is in November. So she's having a birthday party for her daughter. And I guess his parents are like, you need to invite Quinn to the birthday party. And she didn't want to invite Quinn because I didn't invite her daughter, blah, blah, blah. But also, she didn't want me to go because she's mad at me.
Okay.
So she said Nick could come and bring the kids, but I can't go. And I said, no, because that sounds stupid.
My God.
Because we're not going to set this standard that my husband can go, but I can't go. Like, I'm not welcome to family events because I knew that's what would happen. Now, mind you, I don't want to go,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't set this standard
Of
that
course.
that's okay. So
Yeah.
they decide they're going to have a phone conversation before the party, him and his sister.
Okay.
She just so happened to call when Nick and I were together while the
A
girls
call
were
time.
away.
Yeah.
So she didn't know that I was there, but they had like a whole 30-minute conversation on speaker where I heard her say the most ridiculous things about me. Now I'm still confused as to why she's mad at me. Like I know Nick and I had this fight, but the stuff she was saying, she was like, Morgan's gonna leave you. She's gonna take all your money. First of all, I'm trying to figure out where is all this money? Like, like, are you a secret millionaire? Like, and she's like, you're never gonna see the kids again. She's gonna up and leave you. Like, she never really loved you. She doesn't fit in with our family. Like, apparently, her and her parents had these conversations about how to get Nick out of the situation, meaning our marriage. Like, these are all things that she's saying, right? And she's just like screaming at him. And Nick's like, are you done? Like, are you done yelling? Like, I'm trying to talk now because he's that type of person. And she just went on and on and on and on and on. So eventually he gets off the phone. At some point, she called me a bitch during that conversation. And that's when he was like, you got to chill out. He gets
Mm-hmm.
off the phone.
And you not once are like, you don't say anything during that call, like for her to know that you're okay, okay, okay.
So I wanted to hear everything she had to say.
Mm, okay.
So later, she tried to call him again. And he was like, if you have all this stuff to say about Morgan, you need to call Morgan. So she called me. I answered. The conversation went nowhere. Because at this point, I'm on 10. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
pissed, right? So when I answered the phone, she was just talking to Nick. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna call Morgan. I'm gonna call your wife right now. Like I heard her. 2 seconds later, my phone rings. Hey Morgan, I just want to have a conversation. And I'm like, bitch, no, you don't. Like, I just heard all the stuff you were saying. So, anyway, the conversation
So
went nowhere. It was just us screaming at each other. She's trying to get me to listen to her point. I'm trying to tell her, you need to start with an apology because I heard everything you said. And she's like, I didn't say any of those things. I'm like,
wait, so she found out that you heard everything and then she's gonna deny it?
yeah, she said, I told her the stuff that she said. She was like, Nick told you that. He's lying. And I'm like, no, I heard you say it. I've been standing here the whole time. And she was like, that's not true, Morgan. You just don't understand. And I'm just like, whatever. So the conversation went nowhere. The conversation went nowhere. Quinn and Sage did not go to her daughter's birthday party. And we haven't seen each other since. She hosted an entire Thanksgiving last year with like 30 people. She lived like 30 minutes from us and we were not invited. And his parents came down from North Carolina to Atlanta, went to the Thanksgiving and did not come see us. And so that again was the
Mm-hmm.
limit for me because there's no way my parents would drive to a state that I live in and be 30 minutes away and not come see me and my kids. That's just crazy.
Yeah. So now fast forwarding to uh what just happened with,
With Quinn
Auntie
in the
B.
play.
Yeah, with her being with them FaceTiming her
Yeah. So
when
the
Quinn.
reason we said that she can't talk to T is because the last couple of times since we've spoken last year, um, when I tried to keep the kids together, I was like, the kids can talk, the kids can get together, like I don't care. She always said no. Whenever Quinn gets on the phone with her, Quinn leaves the conversation crying. And she'll say,
Mhm.
like, Auntie T was mean to me. She was rude. She said this, she said that. And it's usually things like, I don't want to talk to you, or she's very standoffish to her. She'll tell her, we can't talk right now. No, you can't come see us. No, you can't play with my daughter, like stuff like that. So Quinn comes away crying. So I was like, if you're going to make my kid cry every time you talk to her, then you just can't talk to her. And when I
Yeah.
say cry, I mean like cry. Like she's like, why
Yeah.
doesn't she like me? What did I do? So I just
Yeah.
let it go.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, number one, this is all crazy. Like, I feel like this
I
could be
know,
like,
right?
this should be like this is like Melissa and Teresa kind of situation. And,
I'm
um,
Melissa.
yes, always Melissa. But I just want to say, like, I'm really sorry that this is like, and I know you and I have talked like off this, but like, it really kind of breaks my heart hearing this story. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry.
Oh my God, girl.
No, I'm a mess, but it's just like I'm glad that you're setting boundaries for yourself within your relationship, like with Nick and as a family. I think it sucks that like your guys' families aren't like united right now, and maybe like in the future, I don't know, maybe like something's gonna bring you guys together. I don't know. I do pray that like it she finds peace and is able to like recognize her part and like take accountability. I think if like everyone takes accountability of their part, I feel like things would be better. I feel bad for Nick too. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm like
Mhm.
as you tell me more of the story, I'm just like number one, I don't know how you do it. And then
Oh, me
two, it
either.
puts him in a really hard position too. Like I feel for him. I feel for Quinn. Like I'm like why is she picking on your child? Like, she's a child, she's an adult. Like, be the bigger person and just keep the kids out of it. You know what I mean? And it's like, why do you have to take out your frustrations and anger on a child? I think that's really, really cruel behavior.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I am sorry that you're dealing with all that.
All good.
I thought I was gonna start crying, and I was like, whoop. I was like, hold it together. I was like,
I'm proud
not
of you.
now. Um,
But I do want to say this publicly. If she sees this, I am perfectly okay with having a conversation if it's going to be an open and honest conversation and we can admit what we've all said and what we've all done. And I need a reason as to why you're so upset with me.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's really big of you to say that you're open to having a conversation because again, I think there's two sides to the story and then there's a truth. I think everyone in the situation has played a part, including yourself, but I think it sucks when it's like it's your child that's being affected by this. It's your marriage that's going through this. So that's when I'm like, oof, you know? So I do hope that you guys can come to some sort of resolution. I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna continue praying, is what I tell you every time.
Thank
I'm
you.
like, I'm gonna pray. And thank you for sharing this, Morgan. Honestly, I feel like it takes a lot of like vulnerability to open up. Um, and I know that our listeners, whoever's listening, can hopefully take something away from this. And like, if you guys have anything to say, comment, share, give us advice,
Please,
send
please.
good vibes to Morgan. And thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Morgan, again for sharing. So please like, subscribe, comment, save, share, rewatch this 100 times. Um, and thank you guys for tuning in.
And we'll see you next time. Love you
Yeah.
guys.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye.